Greetings, Helena. Welcome to this week's edition of our United Way Partner Spotlight. Today we're talking with Brandy Thomas from Child Care Connections, and she is going to get us up to speed on all the joys and challenges of working with child care in our area. So Brandy, welcome. We're glad you're here. And I want us to focus in on this business because I know it gets messy. What does it really mean to be a licensed child care program, and how many hoops do people have to jump through? Tell us the value of being a licensed child care facility.
Absolutely. Good to be here. So being a licensed child care, in simple terms, just means that you're registered through the state of Montana through child care licensing. It's not quite that simple, of course, as anything, but there's a lot of key ingredients to becoming licensed and a lot of benefits for that. So when you're a licensed child care program, you are legally operating. Child care licensing has come out, they've inspected, they've made sure your environment is safe, make sure you have requirements like CPR, first aid, training requirements every year. Yes, there's a few more things than that, but really for parents searching for a safe program that, at least somebody's going in and monitoring, you should be looking for a licensed child care.
Sure. So there's a vetting process, background checks, I presume, are involved, and things like this, right?
Absolutely. Within a child care facility, everybody in the facility needs to have a background check. And that is not just a quick, that's the full FBI background check, all of the things that go with it, just to make sure that the kids are being safe.
You bet. You bet. Well, and, we used to refer to this as, child care facilities, daycare, different. There's really kind of a variety of different programs. Can you help us understand various levels of programs that are out there?
Absolutely, there is. It can be kind of confusing, and we are really trying to bring childcare into a professional stance, because really that's what it is a profession. And so we do try to use the word childcare, even though daycare still floats out there. We're not taking care of the day, we're taking care of children.
That's right.
So, but to break it down, so we have several different types of licensed or regulated facilities in Montana. So we have what's called an FFN, which is a family, friend, or neighbor. And that's a person that it's a family, friend, or neighbor who's taking care of their family or their friends' children, and that parent is on the Best Beginning Scholarship Program. And so that's how the state is saying it's okay to pay this person as a family, friend, or neighbor, is that they go through the registration process. This is designed more for just that, the aunt or uncle or grandma or whoever who's taking care of those children, but getting paid from the state.
And not necessarily for other kids, just the relatives or the
acquaintances. Right, just
yeah.
Those that fit into that realm of family, friend, or neighbor.
Okay.
A lot of folks have to use that scenario if they're working odd hours or late at night, because childcare facilities usually aren't open during those times. The other thing that goes with the FFN is called an RCE, which is a relative care exempt. It's basically the same. There's a few differences as far as like which home they're in, being watched in and things like that, but essentially the same. The next step up is a family child care facility, and that is almost always in a person's home, the child care provider's home, and they can take up to 8 children in that setting. No more than 3 can be under the age of 2 of those 8. And then the next setup is a group home. And a group can be in a commercial building, but most often is in a residential. And that's just that second step up from a family. So it's 2 caregivers, 15 children.
Okay.
And then, of course...
So a minimum of 2 people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to meet those state ratios.
Sure.
And then centers are almost always in commercial buildings. I have seen it in a house before, but there's all kinds of special things that have to happen with that. And that's 16 children or more.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So really, the regulations and the rules change based on size of program or size of facility, staffing, all those kinds of things.
Absolutely. So within each of those, there's a ratio that has to be met, a child to adult ratio. So in the family home, like I said, it's up to 8 kids, 1 adult. No more than 3 can be under the age of 2. Most programs don't run at 8 kids by themselves. That's a lot. That recently changed. That used to be 6. The group home is 2, and they can have no more than 6 kids under the age of 2 at any given time. And so if they're anywhere over that, those 6 or that 8, then they have to make sure that second person is always there. Centers are a little different with their ratios because it varies by age group, but it's still pretty laid out.
So each employee, each staff person, if it's a center, they've got to be trained, vetted. It's not like, my nephew can come and help out. I mean,
right. Yeah.
They've got to be cleared.
Got to be cleared. Everybody in there has to submit paperwork. They have to have their background checks, CPR, first aid certified. Required training. There's an initial set of training that's required when you first start, and then you have to upkeep training of 16 hours a year per caregiver. And then, of course, background checks are run every 5 years, all of those type of things. Yeah, you can't just walk in and get the job, which is unfortunate because childcare is one of the least paying professions, and most childcare workers are getting paid barely above minimum wage to do one of the hardest jobs out there, take care of kids all day long.
Well, and I don't want to distract us too much from our agenda, but was there any legislation that helped that pay scale or training or to help? Obviously, this is a national crisis, but did we make any strides recently to help this situation?
We did. So there are some stuff federally that's being looked at. But in Montana, we had some setbacks and we had some really good pluses this last session. Our biggest gain was the passing of House Bill 648, which increased Best Beginnings eligibility. So Best Beginnings is the state assistance to help families pay for childcare. Okay. And so within that, it increased from 150% of poverty to 185% of the poverty line, which is a pretty big jump for us in Montana. And it opened up some things like, we don't call it slot care, but that's essentially what it is it's being paid the full authorized amount for the month. Normally if a child is sick, the state used to not pay for that day, but the provider would still charge for that day because it's a slot being taken. So now that's being paid as long as they're there at least one day a month. And so that's one of the biggest benefits, too, of being licensed, is that if you're licensed, you can accept Best Beginnings scholarship kiddos. Oh, sure. And so that is one of those things that we have a lot of folks on Best Beginnings because childcare is very expensive. And so you get that full authorized amount for the entire month. The copay limits have been capped for families, so that's really helpful. So last January when we lost the ARPA funding, those copays went up drastically, and so now they've gone back down to make it more affordable for families. And then of course, along with the Best Beginnings, if you're licensed program, you can utilize our referral program. And so as a provider, if you have an opening and a parent comes to us and says, hey, I need to find childcare, we can give them a referral to your program.
Great. So it sounds like the legislation helped access to programs, but it may have not helped with payroll for the staff. Is that accurate?
It is. We're in a workforce crisis across the board, whether that's childcare or anything. Anywhere you go, everybody's hiring. Yep. The problem is childcare providers can't pay what others can pay. I mean, everybody's like, but childcare costs so much, it's so expensive. But really, if you take what a childcare provider is paying out to that cost of care for a child each month, they're not making bank by any means. And then, paying staff, because especially infant care, it's a 1-to-4 ratio in centers.
Right.
So that if you do that math and then you take out food and supplies and all of that, it's a tough industry.
Sure. Well, we'll hope for better rewards, and frankly, things like, and I know we won't get into this discussion, but things like pre-K. I mean, because you're right, and we know that the first 5 years of his child's life is so important, and preparing them for school, all those, how important it is, and why it's such a priority, but why our dollars and cents don't reflect that is a question of our time. So
it is, and we could have a multiple hour conversation just on that. So we won't. But I want to touch really quick on some other benefits to becoming licensed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can be on the food program, the CACFP, the Child and Adult Care Food Program, so you can get reimbursement for meals served to kids. You can apply for grants if there's any grants available. Insurance is a big one. In the state of Montana, you have to be licensed, you have to have insurance to be licensed. And so if you're not licensed, it's really hard to get that insurance. So if something horrible should happen, that you're set up for a lot of liability without having insurance.
So as you talk about benefits for being licensed, I'm assuming you're primarily speaking to folks that may not be licensed out there, who may just have 3 or 4, and they're kind of trying to decide, well, do I want to get bigger? Would it be beneficial to me? Tell us more about these benefits. I just wanted to clarify that there are benefits to being licensed, and it translates to hopefully more effective child care. Yeah.
It does. And, you can be a legally operating facility and not be licensed. So if, for example, you're doing preschool only, and by preschool only, the definition is no children under 3. 3 and 4-year-olds are only there for 3 hours a day, and then your 5-year-olds up to 6 hours a day. It's not, you can't say I'm legally operating as a preschool and be running 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday.
Right.
There's other legally operating programs like drop-in care, which is meant for very irregular care, things like that. So you can be legally operating and not be licensed. What we're saying is, if you're watching children all day long, full days, same kids, then take that step to become licensed, because there are so many benefits. And you don't have to. In the state of Montana, it was that you could watch 3 children without having to be licensed. That did go up. There was some legislation that did pass, and I cannot think of the House bill right now, but that did allow that to go up to 6. So you can legally watch 6 children in your home and not be licensed. However, if you get licensed and you take that step, and yes, there's some paperwork and all of that, but like I said, you can take Best Beginnings Kids, CACFP grants, insurance, the referral system, so you can get referrals when you have an open slot. STARS, the Quality Rating Improvement System in the state of Montana, you qualify for if you're licensed, and then just all the other supports that come with that. Child Care Connections offers a ton of supports for startup, for new programs. We help you write your contract. I mean, anything you need, we can pretty much help in those regards.
When my kids were small, my wife opened up a child care in our home, and we were able to watch our kids. Tell me, how does a person get started?
Oh, it's not as hard as everybody thinks, honestly. You can do it on your own. You can go to the child care licensing website in Montana. I think it's easier just to contact us through Child Care Connections. We can direct you to all of the links, all of the websites that have the forms. You can apply online now for your license, and we can help walk you through that system. We have all kinds of new director and new program supports. We offer all the training, the CPR, first aid. So I would say contact us, and you can either go to our website and contact us through that, which is just cccmontana.org. You can call me directly. I can get you in touch with the right person. Whatever you need, we're going to be there to help you in that process.
And help me understand kind of regionally, because Child Care Connections is Bozeman, Helena, kind of all over the place. But if someone's in, say, Townsend, who would they reach out to you? Or?
They'd still call us. So the state has 7 regions with 6 different entities. So Child Care Connections, we're one entity that's state contracted, and we serve Lewis and Clark, Jefferson, Broadwater, Park, Marr, and Gallatin counties. And so if you're within that, we're your agency to come to. Say, for example, Great Falls, there's an agency just like us called Family Connections that serves that area. And so, it's all broke up in the state, but those 6 counties are us. So we like to say from the Yellowstone to the Capitol.
There you go.
It is us. But yeah, we're anywhere you are in those 6 counties, we're able to help you.
Super. I'm guessing, let's say I'm a new Helena resident. I've got 2 little ones. How do I find childcare? What's the easiest way for me to do that?
So we do that as well. We have referrals. You can do it off of our website. It's called the Child Care Needs Form, and basically that just you fill out what you're looking for, like the hours, the location, things like that, and then we pull from the list that we have, and we give that contact information to a parent, and then they can call, set up visits, all of that. There's a couple other ways. We do maintain sites off of Facebook. So we have Child Care Share sites, one for the Helena area, one for the Bozeman area. So the 3 counties broken half essentially.
Sure.
And parents can post on that. A lot of providers post on that. You can connect that way. There is a portal on the DPHHS website, and I'm sorry I don't have that exact email or that address with me, but you can call me and I can give that to you. And you can pull up by city, and it'll list the child care providers that are registered.
Is there, and this may be a hard guess, but is there a standing waiting list like right now? I mean, if I'm new to town, oh, good luck, you're going to be waiting 6 months. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. You might.
It depends, honestly, and it depends where you are. Bozeman, a year ago, we were telling people in Bozeman to get on a waiting list a year before you were pregnant. This, that's gotten a little better.
Okay.
In all of our areas, actually. There is definitely, if you want into a particular facility, you're going to want to be on that waiting list as soon as possible.
Okay.
Infant care is our hardest to fill because it is, that's the higher ratio, all of that. So, I mean, I know people that have come and got right into programs, and I know others that have waited a long time. So I think it's more about if you want a specific program or not.
So be aware and think ahead.
Oh, absolutely.
A long ways
Plan
ahead. Okay.
As far as you can.
Good to know. Good to know. And last thing I'll ask you about is the sub pool. Do you need substitute day child care providers?
So because you have to meet ratio, you have to have adults in the facility. So if one of your caregivers calls in sick, you have to have somebody that can come in to replace that person. So finding a sub can be really difficult. So in Montana, we have, through Raise Montana, a shared service, which is the sub pool. And so if you're interested in becoming a sub working in childcare, you can go to raisemontana.org. And on there, they pay for all your training, your background checks, your CPR, everything is paid for to become a sub. And then they have a whole electronic system where programs search for a sub for a specific day, and then the subs, says, yes, I can do it, or no, I can't. And they're paid directly from that childcare site. Okay. It's a pretty nifty system. We do have it up and running in
Great.
Helena, East Helena, Clancy, Bozeman. Pretty much all of our area has subs. But we're trying to definitely recruit more and get more subs in there.
Sure, sure. All right, all right. Well, I know there are great challenges, but I also know there are a lot of kids receiving some great care in facilities in the area. And I would just say to you, thank you for your hard work in kind of raising the standards and making sure that our young people are receiving the care they need. Thank you, Brandy, for
Thank
being
you for
here.
having me.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you, Helena. We'll see you next time.